Hey, what's up, family? Welcome back. Welcome back. Dr. Cubion here. Who am I? I am the founder of Help Meet Prep Academy, one of the most awesome mentoring programs in the world where I am training women to be help meets, not just a wife, because that just take a piece of paper. I'm talking about a kingdom wife according to Genesis 2:18. And I am also a prophetic life strategist. You may have noticed that Mondays are no longer only me talking about help me tips. And so as I adjust, roll with me, stay with me, continue to tune in, because what God has called me to do is to help train up and equip the body of Christ. His word says that his people perish for a lack of knowledge. And so part of my calling, a huge part of my calling rather, is wife training, helping singles to prepare for marriage. But another very important aspect of what the Lord has called me to do, my clarion call, is helping people to grow up. We've got people that have been in the kingdom of God 50 years and spiritually speaking are still like children. And so I am also here to help and be a part of your spiritual growth, your spiritual maturity. And so keep that in mind. We're going to be talking about help meet and other things. So with that being said, tonight we are talking about other things. I was just reminiscing over my life and, of course, how good God has been to me a few days ago. But I was also thinking about these moments that I have had that have completely changed my life. They were complete blessings, but they were also opportunities that I, so easily could have missed had I not been in tune with God and had I been afraid to put in some work. I think as believers, when we are believing for God to move, I think we can get in this space unintentionally of where we're looking for God to do something and we're kind of just sitting there, kind of, just waiting, chilling, biting your nails, just waiting on it, when we have to play a part in our own rescue. And we can't box God in to how he wants to provide a way. He's so creative. He can deliver you and bless you in many ways. And so we have to be open to God coming with blessings and solutions and resources from different directions, from different people in different manners and different ways. And so I want to talk about that tonight, about some of these pivotal moments that I've had that have completely changed my life, and how I got myself positioned for them. And then also, sadly, how there were not other people ready to go with me. I live in Alabama. I have been here something like about 18 years. And the whole reason I am in Alabama without a blood family is because of one of those opportunities. And by the grace of God, after I prayed, I was in position. Now, this prayer I prayed, it was really more like me hollering at God. That's what happened. So let me back it up. So at this point, I was 19 years old. Okay, I'm going to give you the full story. I was 19 years old. I was working multiple jobs. I had 2-3 jobs. I think at one point I even had 4 things I was doing. I was trying to rub 2 dimes together to come up with the rent. I was so incredibly stressed out. And I was severely overweight. Like at this point in my time, a lot of people don't know, but I was actually, my 5'2" self was over 300 pounds. I know I was over 320. And I might have even reached 330. However, after I saw 320 on the scale, I had still gained some weight, but I wouldn't get on it because I didn't want to see what the scale was going to say. So I believe I know I had crossed over 320. So, and I wasn't that heavy for that long, but I was so unhealthy and uncomfortable. And I remember one day I came in from school to my apartment. I was battling with depression at the time, and I used to keep the blinds closed and be in the house with the lights off all the time. I remember one day I came in either from school or work, and I just went off. And I'm in my apartment. I'm talking to my daddy God, and I am hollering at him, okay? So, well, what I'm saying is this don't make no sense. I am a daughter of the King. I should be able to go to school and focus on my studies without being stressed out about how I'm going to pay the rent and how the electric bill is going to get paid and how I'm going to do this and how I'm going to do that. My daddy is King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the bright morning star. I shouldn't have to be stressed out like this. And I don't know how that's going to happen because I'm the only person in my household. And if I don't work, I don't eat. But who I was, it hit me so hard. Like I'm a daughter of the King of Kings. Come on now. But oh my gosh, I knew my faith went to a different level that day. And I'm not telling you to just be hollering at God, but what I will say is, baby, that's where you are, that's just where you are. And I've been there several times. And I have a relationship with God. I don't try to hide how I feel. He know me. He know me better than myself, okay? And so I'm upset. I was upset with God, and I told him I was upset with him. I was upset with my circumstance, the life. I was upset with all of it. And so I was just telling God how upset I was and what I felt like I shouldn't have to deal with because of who I belonged to. Because I knew who I was in him. And so fast forward, I also even in my screaming prayer had talked about, and my school should be paid for. I shouldn't be struggling because every single semester, I was struggling trying to come up with all the money, and I was getting student loans, but the student loans didn't cover everything. I remember sitting in a classroom multiple times. So I'm 2 weeks in, just sitting there, just believing for a miracle to get them books. I remember I was sitting there, it was a computer class, and my teacher finally came by me and was like, look, if you don't get this book, you're going to have to go, like, you got to be able to do the work. And what God ended up doing was just moving on my father's heart. And even though he had said, you on your own out there, he had moved on my father's heart, and he gave me the money to get my books, and I went and got my books. That was still God. That was my natural father did it for me. But it was absolutely my Abba Daddy that moved on my natural father's heart, and he ended up helping me. And so he helped me a whole lot, as a matter of fact, and I wouldn't have been able to obtain my bachelor's degree if it weren't for my natural father. He helped me through that. So, but I was struggled all the way through my bachelor's degree. I was sick all the time. I was at the emergency room all the time. They knew who I was on a regular basis, okay? Like, it was just a very, very trying period of my life. So fast forward, my bachelor's degree, I finished it with a whole bunch of debt. So God didn't move during that time. I finished it with a whole bunch of debt, but I was still believing, you're going to have to do something about these student loans. I ain't paying this. You're going to have to pay this. And to this day, that is my attitude with them loans I got for this PhD. Because, Lord, this PhD wasn't even my idea, Lord. That was you. You're going to pay for this. You need to go tell Trump. They need to get something together to work this out. Because, sister, not paying for that PhD. I'm not. And so, but God ended up moving. Opportunity came my way that somebody told me about, and it blew my mind because everything I was in my apartment and I had yelled about God about that day. This opportunity met that. And my prayer that day was bold. I mean, I was even saying, like, I need insurance, God. You know, I'm always sick. I'm always at the hospital. So I whatever I do, I need to be able to have insurance, and I can't be on my parents. I wasn't going to be on my parents' insurance forever. God that I know, that I went to school with, told me about this fellowship opportunity. And I was like, it didn't seem real. The fellowship opportunity was, you go to school for a whole year and you work on your master's degree. And while you're working on your master's degree, you are getting paid a government salary. You are getting government benefits. And all you are doing for a whole year is going to school. This job is guaranteed over the course of 5 years that you get pay raises every single year. So much so that at the end of the 5 years, you will be making 6 figures. Now, at that time, I was a probation and parole officer, barely making $20,000 a year. Struggling. Okay. Struggling. So, and then they pay for your school. And it blew my mind, the whole thing that what? I can go to school and focus on my work, and then they gonna pay me to go to school and pay for my school. And it was an opportunity through the government, through this command. And so I didn't know these command names. So I called my father and was like, so this opportunity just came across my desk. Like, I had never heard of anything like that. So I'm like, is this real? Have you ever heard of this agency? And he told me, yeah, it really did exist. I ended up talking to the recruiter. It got even more strange because when I talked to the recruiter, the first thing, his name was Roland, the first thing Roland said to me was, do you have suitcase on wheels? And I'm like, what? Like, this not even that professional. What? Do you have suitcase on wheels? They flew me out to, I think, Texas. Yeah, they flew me out to Texas to do an interview. My mind is already blown. Y'all want to pay me to go out to do an interview? Blew my mind. And so that year, that was in 2006, I didn't end up getting in. They had enough people, so he was like, next year. And I'm like, I wondered if it was going to work out. Bruh called me back. And this opportunity required me to pack up and move. And so I had to take a look. I had never been apart from my immediate family. I'm a military brat, so I didn't grow up around my extended family, but I've never been apart from my mom for an extended period of time. So I had a decision to make. Do I go out into this unknown and take this opportunity, or do I stay where I am? And I felt like it was going to be worth the risk. I remember my mom telling me, because I packed my stuff up, I had never been where I was moving to. I got rid of the majority of stuff in my apartment. I had a small trailer hooked up to my vehicle. I had no idea how I was going to get that stuff unloaded when I got there, because I was going by myself, and I was just believing that, Lord, when I get there to Texarkana, Texas, you're going to have to have somebody there to help me. And he did. When I got there, I went to the back of that vehicle, and I stood there before I opened it up, and I was like, okay, God, sitting out there in the parking lot. Okay, God, I'm here. I stepped out on faith. I can't get this stuff out of here by myself. And right then, this man comes up and says, hey, do you need some help? As a matter of fact, I do. And he called his son over, his 16-year-old son. And that God-sent young man helped me to unload my little trailer. And I took my stuff into my little apartment. I remember my mom telling me when I was leaving, she told me, she was like, aren't you scared? I said, no. She said, you too crazy to be scared. But my mom's life was so limited because of fear. And I never wanted to be that way. And I wanted to take a chance on God and on myself, but more on God. And I did. I mean, at the worst case scenario, it was just me. I could just go home. But it was so scary. And that decision to take that job and up and move to someplace I had never heard of before, out in what felt like the boonies, ended up changing my entire life. That decision changed the trajectory of my life. And let me tell you this, backing up just to the application for this opportunity. That man sent me the paperwork. It took me some days to get it done. I remember having a stack of paper like this on the floor. They were asking, I had to do math problems. The application process was grueling. The application process alone, people wouldn't go through. This was a God opportunity, but the application process was too much work for people. And it's like I saw how people I was connected to weren't able to take this opportunity because we were making different decisions. I was going to school where they were out clubbing. I remember they would be getting ready to go out clubbing. I'm like, no, sorry, I got to study. And they were making more money than me at the time, but I understood that if I would hold out and get this degree, eventually I would be making more money than them. And that's exactly what has happened. You see a sister set up back here. God has blessed me tremendously. Making right decisions and being positioned for the opportunities and not being afraid to take a chance. Because guess what? There were no signs, written on the wall that were like, no angels sitting here saying, take the opportunity, Cubion. This is me, daughter. Take it. Like, I didn't hear none of that. But all I had was, that day I was in my apartment screaming at God, this is exactly what I asked you for. This got to be you. I'm going to take a chance. It changed the entire trajectory of my life. The entire. Then let's fast forward. I'm here in Alabama and I'm in an apartment and I start seeing stuff about houses and that it would be good to purchase a home. And I'm listening. I'm like, okay. I didn't have the money for that. I was barely paying my own bills. Well, I came across something that piqued my interest, where you could get a rural development loan and put zero money down. So I went to inquire. Now, mind you, this opportunity came after I sold my first $1,000 seed. Not my tithes, my first $1,000 seed. My mama thought I was completely crazy. I didn't even tell her I had did it at the time because I knew what she was going to say. I can't believe you gave them folks all your money. I was like, I'm trying to see something here. I was in this stage going beyond, spiritually speaking, going beyond what my parents had taught me. So I couldn't get advice from them on these things in particular, was specifically my mom rather, because she had never sown like that. How you going to advise? You don't know nothing about this realm that I'm in. So I sowed it and I didn't tell my mom about that seed because I didn't want to rape my seed of expectation. And I didn't need additional unnecessary warfare. I was already struggling with my own thoughts and pulling my own thoughts down. This is crazy. You gave these folks $1,000. You needed this money for this. You could have used this money for that. I can't believe you gave them folks that money. What if nothing happens? What if you wasted your money? Like, I am having to battle these thoughts and pull them down and pull them down and pull them down. That was enough work by itself. I did not need my mama's opinion on top of it. So I didn't tell her until I was confident months later that I had made the right decision. So then this opportunity, I tell my mom, this opportunity right after pops up for this house. I go and inquire. It's an opportunity to build a house, brand new house, pick a lot out, pick out the floor plan, pick out all the stuff that you want. And the builder required $500 down. I didn't have $500 down. I was barely paying my bills. Like, I just had enough for that. I tell my mom about the opportunity and she offers to give me the $500. I'm like, no, Mom, I'm going to believe God. She was like, and I love that she did it. She was like, God is using me to bless you. And I was like, oh, I ain't thought about it like that because you mama. And I'm like, I'm out here trying to believe God for myself. My mom watching me go under contract at 27 years old to purchase my own home. And 27, do you hear me? I picked out the lot and built it from scratch. And the crazy thing that was so sad is I was trying to get other people to get in with me. Because my thing at the time was I was paying $800 in rent with no utilities included. The mortgage was only going to be $100 more than what I was paying in rent. And I was going to have a fixed rate mortgage. That was a no-brainer to me. And then, although I didn't have a savings, I wasn't concerned. I knew I had a buffer of time to get it together because with it being a new home, it was going to be covered under manufacturer's warranty. So I had time to build a nest egg. I had, figured these things out. There was only one person I knew that I told about this opportunity that took it. And there were several of us, that were in the program that were here that could have purchased homes at the time. But people were on, people around my age weren't about their business like that. So there was only one person. and we ended up building in the same neighborhood. That house, that decision, and me being positioned for the blessing had me prepared for that, opened the door for the next opportunity. So I wanted to move. Contacted my friend that's a realtor. He was like, he could get me like $7,000. I was like, oh no, I didn't do all of this to just make that. Fast forward a few years. I'm still here. I've been wanting to leave, but that door obviously has been blocked. So out of the blue, my friend calls me and was like, hey, and mind you, at this point, I'm not looking to sell the house. I'm just here. My friend calls me and was like, hey, you want to sell your house? My husband has a client that's looking for something in your area. I was like, what? No. It was so random and out of the blue. Hung the phone up. Later on, I felt like Holy Spirit was like, you had been wanting to move. And I was like, oh, I was, but like, Lord, like when when she called, I wasn't looking at moving, thinking about it, none of that. And so I called back and was like, you know what, on second thought, I talked to her husband. He's like, I can get you at least $20,000. I said, sold. This house could be golden. And then he was like, because he's anointed and he's smart. And I knew in his hands, it would go well. It would do well. And so at this point, he was like, and we're going to have, multiple offers. It's going to sell quickly. Like everything we were decreeing happened. I got what I wanted for the house. I was able to net over $30,000 off of that. So that enabled me to have the money to make a down payment for my next blessing. Hallelujah. And be able to furnish the next home. So how did that happen? All of this stuff happened so fast. And so that, with me selling that house, that meant I had to go somewhere. Well, where am I going to go? I hadn't been looking anywhere. The only thing I did know was that the next time I moved, I wanted to be closer to civilization, as I had said, because I had got a rural development loan. So I was out of ways. Well, my friend was like, well, what about this area over here? It's really nice. I go over there to that area to check it out. I walk in the door. And it just so happens that a contract for a lot had just, and again, this is new development where you get to pick the lot, you get to pick your floor plan, you get to pick everything going in the house. Never expected God would do that again. But this area was another new development. I go in, the last lot on this cul-de-sac, the contract had fell through and it had just become available to the point that they had never even made it public knowledge that this lot was available. I walk in and I'm like, well, it's in civilization. I like this area. I'm like, okay, I'll take this lot. Then I start headed to the bank to get my money for the earnest deposit. And I'm headed to the bank and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so uncomfortable. Like, am I tripping? Am I tripping? And let me tell you, when I was going to about selling the house, I started to fast. And I'll never forget, I was out walking and God said, you've been fasting and praying. You need to move so you don't miss this opportunity. I was uncomfortable the whole time. I had peace, but I was uncomfortable because my mind was like, you need to take a whole lot longer to figure this stuff out. But if I did, I would have missed my opportunity. So mind you, I sold that place. I needed to move into my next home. Hang on one second. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. I don't want to miss this. I need to send that name. Okay. So I didn't want to miss this amazing opportunity that the Lord was giving me. But I'm like, everything is moving so fast. And I just had to move with peace. You're going to have to learn to move with peace in some situations. You've been praying and fasting. When the door opens, when the window of opportunity opens, you got to be able to move. Doors on opportunities close. I know people like to shout, what God has for me is for me. And you can't miss it, baby. That is a lie. You can miss it. When job opportunities open, these people ain't going to wait forever for you to get yourself together. You're going to have to be ready to move when God opens the door. So spend your time praying and fasting beforehand so that when the Lord brings the opportunity, you can execute and allow the peace of God to lead you. So Everything is happening fast. The day I go over to go to this area, I'm headed to the bank to go get my earnest deposit to take back to the builder. My mind is blown that am I really about to build another house? And then one that costs twice as much as the last one. Like I am in my mind tripping. Excited, scared, tripping. I can't believe this is happening. And then I also have to figure out, because this is a new home being built, I can't get in it right away. Where the heck am I going to live? I'm at home walking down the hallway. The Lord says, call your friend and ask him about renting his place, because he was getting ready to head over to Afghanistan. I was like, what? No, I'm not doing that. Like, we cool, but we ain't that cool. I was like, you know what? Let me not argue with God. He is obviously doing something in this situation. I called my homie and I'm like, hey, so I'm about to sell my house and I know you're headed overseas. Would you possibly be interested in renting it to me? Because I'm thinking like, this man gonna tell me no. He was like, you know what? I'd be more comfortable renting my place to you than my blood family, because I know you're gonna take care of it. What, God? Oh my gosh. And so I was able to rent my friend's place. And crazy thing is, my home got finished early, and he ended up coming home sooner than expected, but it just so happened my home got finished early and I was out of his home like days before he made it back. The whole situation was supernatural. When I was picking out floor plans this time around, the Lord told me to pick out floor plans for my family. And he told me that at the end of this building process, I would be moving in with my husband. I met my husband during the building process. And so I moved in my home. And then we ended up getting married not too long after that. So I was actually able to get his input on what all we would have in the home. So I said all of that to say, my God, just thinking about this takes me back. You have to be ready for the blessing. You got to be in position to receive the blessing. You have to be ready to move. You can't just sit and pray about it and then think it's going to how do I want to say? You got your role to play in it. You have your role to play. And when God moves on your behalf, he can do it any kind of which way he desires to do it. So allow him to move on your behalf however he chooses. All right. So I just wanted to bless you guys with that. I love you all. I pray that this has blessed you, and you know how we do. Don't be stingy. Share this out with someone, okay, and be a blessing. All right. I love you all. Have a good